On June 7, 1991, Karla Homolka invited a teenager who she befriended at work over for drinks. The teenager is referred to as Jane Doe at the trial. After the teenager passed out from a drink laced with halcyon, Karla told Paul, "I have a surprise wedding gift for you," and the two proceeded to videotape as they both sexually assaulted her. The victim awoke the next day feeling nauseous but left without realizing that she had been raped. On the evening of June 15, 1991, Paul met a 14-year-old girl by the name of Leslie Mahaffey. Leslie had allegedly been locked out of her family home due to a punishment for not making curfew. Ironically, she was late getting home because she and her friends were out commiserating over a friend who had just died. Paul offered her a cigarette, which she accepted, and after leading her to his car, he pulled a knife on her and blindfolded her. Paul then brought Leslie back to the home and announced to Karla, "I brought home a playmate." The two videotaped the situation as they tortured and sexually assaulted Leslie Mahaffey, and due to her blindfold falling off, they decided to kill her. They reportedly kept her body in the basement when they dined with the Homolka family upstairs the following day. Later, they dismembered her and encased her remains in 8 concrete blocks and threw the blocks into Lake Gibson. The blocks were discovered on June 29, 1991, the same day that Karla and Paul were married. On April 16, 1992, Paul and Karla abducted a 15-year-old girl named Kristen French as she was leaving school. Once again, Paul and Karla videotaped as they engaged in sexual torture and assault on French for 3 straight days. Kristen was never blindfolded. She was forced to drink obscene amounts of alcohol and forced to watch the recording of Leslie Mahaffey's torture and submission to Paul. Near the end, however, Kristen French became confrontational towards Paul, calling him a bastard. She said to him, "I don't know how your wife can stand being around you." She was in turn severely beaten, and her long black hair was cut off and shoved down her throat before she was killed. Once again, Karla and Paul dined with the Homolka family as the body lay in the basement. The following day, they discarded Kristen French's body in a ditch next to a cemetery where Leslie Mahaffey had been buried. On December 27th that year, Paul beat Karla so badly with a flashlight that he broke a rib of hers and blackened her eyes and bruised her limbs. At that point, she decided to file charges against him, claiming she had been a battered spouse. Paul was arrested, and by sheer coincidence, the DNA sample that he had provided years earlier had been taken off the shelf, and he was positively identified as the Scarborough rapist. And it's hard to believe what happens next. Check out part 4.